Okay, B'Shem Hashem, we're going to continue in Sefer Sha'ari Kedusha. We are on Chelek Bet, started Shar Dalet, about the punishment of the bad character trait and the reward of acquiring good character trait. Previously we covered Kas, anger, and now we're going to go to Kaptanut. Kaptanut means being very stubborn, not being tolerant and forgiving, and not being flexible, very strict. However, it starts says Kaptanut hi anaf min hag'ava min kas. So Kaptanut, a person is acting that way, is like a branch of haughtiness and anger. V'amru zimni bracha, Chachamim said, man de qapet, qaptin le. Whoever is intolerant, also they're acting with him from Shamayim the same way. It's midah keneged midah. Hem mochalin le'avonutav, and they're not going to forgive his sins because he's not willing to be flexible. Same thing, it's going to be done to him. Midah keneged midah. Shenemar, famous pasuk in Micha, Noseh avon ve'over al pesha. Whoever is like overlooks the sin is going to be forgiven for his own sin. As lemi noseh avon, who's going to be pardoned and overlooked from his sin, lemi shover al pesha, somebody that is also willing to let go of the bad that's done to him. Aval ham ma'avir al midotav, somebody who's flexible, forgiving. Amridon bracha, Masechet Shabbat Selam Yivakesh Adam Rachamim b'chol yom b'chol et. The person has to plead and request mercy all day and at all time. Iten be'afar pihu, iten le'makiu lechi. It's like he has to put his mouth to the dust. I mean, he doesn't have to answer back. Iten le'makiu lechi. He can kind of turn his cheek to the person who's going to hit him. That means that not to resist as much. Ispa b'cherpa. It's filled and satisfied with disgrace. If somebody does something bad to him, don't hold a grudge, basically. Ashrei mi sheshomea cherpato ve'eno meshiv. Happy is the man who hears his disgrace and somebody brings him down, says something bad to him, ve'eno meshiv, but then respond back. V'chen Yeshaya omer, Prophet Yeshaya says, Gevi natati lemakim. My body, I give it to the people who are hitting me. Somebody who kind of he doesn't resist as much. Adam has to defend himself and everything, but to a certain degree. Kach amru chachamim, kol ha'ma'avir al midotav, whoever is forgiving and overlook his habits, ma'avirim lo al kol peshav, also they're going to overlook and forgive all his sins. Shenemar, then pasuk in Micha, Nosam v'pesha. Amru bechupat Eliyahu zal, Chupat Eliyahu says, I think this is referred to Reshit Chochmah also, so Sha'ar Gimel. Shel Baruch Hu ahavam. There are three categories of the people that HaKadosh Baruch Hu really likes. Who are these three people? Mi she'eno mitkaes, somebody who doesn't get angry. Umi she'eno mishtaker, somebody who doesn't get drunk. Umi she'eno omed al midotav, somebody who is tolerant and forgiving. Shar Rabbi Akiva, Masechet Megillah said, Rabbi Nechunya Gadol. Rabbi Akiva asked Rabbi Nechunya Gadol, B'mei arachta yamim, what is your secret of longevity? Why you learn all this years? I think he probably died very, very old. Rabbi Nechunya. Rabbi Akiva wanted to see what his secret. Amar lo, answer him back, Miyamai lo kibalti matanot. In all my life, I never accepted any gift. And also I was flexible. I wasn't too stubborn. So those are the two things. Not to look for people to give handout to you, and also be flexible. Chachamim said, Rosh Hashanah said, Rab Huna bar Yehoshua chalash. Rabbi Huna bar Yehoshua become sick. Amrulo, and he was very sick, like to the point of almost dying. Amrulo ma chaziti, what did you see? Like from what to come, he says, he's like a kind of like a met clinic, they say, like somebody who's very, very, like maybe even die for a split second. So they ask him, ma chazit, what did you see up there? Amar lahem, he answered them back, Hachi amar Qudsha Baruch Hu, this is what Hakadosh Baruch Hu says to me. Ho'il velo muqi bemilte, since you didn't insist on your right, lo tukmu bahadeh, also we don't ask exact with you in the same way, because you are flexible, we're going to be flexible also. Shenemar, Pasuk Tekrar is repeated again, Nosama Pesha. Amr Racha, Masachet Shabbat says, Rab Nachman chafar tel echad. Rab Nachman dig a hole. V'haya Rab Achai bar Yoshia qabur sham, and he buried Rab Achai bar Yoshia, like a dig a grave because he was dead. V'ra'ohu qayam b'asmotav, and they said, I think that after the fact, they saw that he's kind of like it hasn't been decayed, after a long time, perhaps it was. I think he kind of like dig a hole and then saw somebody buried there, which was Rabbi Yoshia. In Kayam B'Asmotav. And he was kind of like complete, he was full, like he hasn't decayed. Amalo, my hai, what's going on? I mean, what is this? Amalo, I think I answered him back. Somehow, he gets to talk to the neshama of him. Miyamai lo amati al midotai. This is the reward for the fact that all my life I was never like so strict and not been flexible. I didn't stand on my rights. Velo tafasti belibi qin'at chaverai. And I never hold in my heart any kind of envy toward my friends. Shenemar, this is Pasuk Mishle says, Urqab atsamot qin'ah. What's caused rotting of the bones is qin'ah, envy. It's an envy is basically make your bones to decay. Amr al-Racha, Masachet Tanit says, it brings a lot of sources, all the Gemaras. Maseh Rabbi Eliezer, this is something that happened to Rabbi Eliezer. Shiara lifnei ateba. He went to Davin, he becomes Shaliach Sipur. That's a term that they use. Shiara lifnei ateba. Because I think in those days, I think the bima was a little bit low. They would go down. Yarat. He went down, lifnei ateba. Velo na'ana. He didn't get answered. Like his prayer wasn't answered. Rabbi Akiva went also, and Davin, I think they were asking for rain or something. They asking for rain. When Na'ana, and he was answered. So Rabbi Akiva was answered his prayer for rain, and Rabbi Eliezer wasn't answered. Yatsa Batqol v'amra. So the Batqol comes, a heavenly voice, and says, Mipnei shezeh ma'avir midotav. The reason Rabbi Akiva was answered his prayer because he's tolerant, he's forgiving, he's flexible. The word is not sustained and the word doesn't exist. In the merit of somebody who muzzle or closes his mouth bid'at meriva, bish'at meriva, in a time of fight or argument. So you don't answer back. Shenemar, Pasuk in Iyov says, Tole eles al belima, you can hang the word, on nothingness. don't say anything, don't answer back. Rabbi Abahu Omer, Rabbi Abahu says, Al mi shemesim asmo kemo she'eno. Somebody who considers himself as if he's not, like he's very, very, like he doesn't bring himself very down. Betan Rabbanan, Masechet Shabbat says, Hane'elavim ve'enam olvim. Somebody who's been insulted and doesn't insult back. Shomim cherpatam ve'enam meshivim. They hear being shamed and somebody kind of like says something bad to them. Ve'enam meshivim, but they don't respond. Alehem HaKatuv Omer, there's a pasuk in Shoftim says about this type of people, ve'ohavav, those who love him, keset hashemesh b'gvurato. It's like when the sun comes out in his strength. Amar Eliyahu Zachor Letov, Ilanavi said, Le'olam heye alu livnei adam ve'livnei betecha yoter mikulam. Always be down to earth in front of everybody, and accept, and especially your family, more than everybody else. V'amar Abba Eliyahu Zachor Letov, in Kala Rabati, another sefer, Le'olam en haTorah mitpareshet. Again, the Torah is never going to be revealed elal b'mi she'eno kaptan, only to the person who's not very intolerant, is not kaptan. V'af ani eni nigla. Yanavi says, I also don't appear to anybody elal b'mi she'eno kaptan, only to the person who's not very, very like strict and not tolerant. I think we can do one more. We're going to go to another bad category with atzbut, depression. The atzbut goremet meniat ha'avodah. Depression causes a person not to do the service of Hashem correctly. You cannot prevent him. V'kiyum ha'mitzvot u'bitul esek ha'torah. Also to fulfill all the mitzvot commandment.
Maybe this one we make a separate video.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think it's good.
Okay.
Very common, unfortunately.
Okay.
Very common problem.
We're going to stop here and then we're going to continue.